Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video on a crazy day in the world of Newcastle United, almost as crazy as the wall behind me, which now isn't half and half anymore. I have got the wood chip off. I just need to, clearly fix that light and maybe rub the face out. But otherwise, we're getting there. But Sky Sports reporting as of today that Newcastle need to, and that the Premier League are nigh on forcing Newcastle, forcing Newcastle United to sell players before a deadline of June 30th. That's right, Newcastle United have a PSR deadline that we need to hit, despite the fact that we are the richest club in the world. And you know what it is? Obviously, there's loads of stuff going on with Man City and everything else. Newcastle are trying to do it by the book. We got underpaid for St. Maxi. You know, we're trying to bring... We've just gone and got Champions League football. We're bringing in Adidas. We've got the huge top launch tomorrow. And still are having to sell players to hit this marker, which, by the way, Sky Sports themselves were calling in... on the news today, a mini deadline. That's going to help, isn't it? When we're trying to flog players, and every club in the country, in the world, knows that we have to let go of players. Well, we're not going to. Well, let's just offer them a 5 million for him, maybe. You know, that's not a good look, and with not much time to go, and Newcastle are having to hit these crazy marks, deadlines, fees. It just absolutely blows me away. The state of FFP, PSR at the moment. And look, it came in for a reason. There were genuine reasons to it, but it's just so far gone and far away from what it was originally trying to achieve. Obviously, we'll see how Manchester City get on, and Newcastle having to, you know, I think that's the big one for me. The over dramatising it, you know, Sky Sports and everyone's saying, you know, Newcastle have got to bring in 100 million before the end of the month. No, I as it's understood, I think the fee Newcastle needs to bring in is closer to 20-30 million, which is still, I was telling you, it's still a big chunk. But it kind of fits into the mould of what we've already been talking about most of the time going into this summer window, where we would likely see someone like an Almiron leave, likely see maybe a Wilson. But then you start getting down the list, and it's like a Trippier, because we're out of options. Are we going to have to, because I made the video yesterday talking about Kieran Trippier. A few of you guys did say, yeah, maybe it's time for Trippier to go, but there was also a high portion that said we should be keeping Trippier. Having to go down the route of letting key players go. Look, Longstaff. I know some people aren't massive fans of Sean Longstaff, but he's a homegrown player that we've brought through the system and is one of really our most valuable assets because of that fact. And we're being forced into letting players like a Longstaff, almost forcibly selling players that we don't want to. That's the frustration. I get it. Meeting payments, etc., and trying to do things properly, which is clear Newcastle have been doing. You know, we still haven't brought a naming right to the St. James's Park. We still haven't brought a naming right to the training ground. There's so much stuff that we want to do and we're gonna do, but we're being forced to sell Longstaff or Trippier just to try and put a tick in a box is absolutely madness. And the only saving grace, really, of the whole situation, or I'm really praying is the saving grace, is the likes of Isak coming out and making quite a bold statement just yesterday, saying that he has no plans to leave. You've got Pete Greaves, you've got multiple outlets coming out and saying, because that's what Sky Sports are trying to build on, is that it's in the media. And look, God forbid, you know, that haven't heard something that I don't know about, but what they're trying to build on is that Newcastle have got to sell Isak, Newcastle have got to sell Bruno, Newcastle have got, and even that in itself is bad. I mean, look, it's report, it's Sky, it's football, it's transfers. that is the world of football in itself, and it's not exciting for us when the big name gets linked away, but it's big headline, and it's big news to other football teams. So that's the route they're going to go down. They're not going to go, Newcastle might have to sell Miggy, or they probably would. I'm trying to think of somebody else. Newcastle might have to sell Dubravka. Oh no, I'll carry it. That's not the route they're going to go down. It's going to be, they're going to have to sell Bruno, they're going to have to sell Isak. That's the route to take it down. But the understanding is that Newcastle just need to settle that amount of money. Newcastle could potentially find that from other ways without selling players. It could be that Newcastle do sell 2 million Adidas football shirts tomorrow. And that is enough to take. Although, because, as I say, you've only got to assume it because it's coming through in arrears. We've let Dummett go, we've let Richie go. Can we bring the fact that all of those wages aren't being paid forward? It's similar to what happened with Nottingham Forest, who could have sold Brandon Johnston for... I'll get his name right one day. Brandon could have sold him for 20 million to Spurs, 10 million to Spurs, and they would have ticked their PSR box. They didn't do that. They held off. They waited 5-6 weeks and then sold him to Spurs for like 60 million. Boom. Way better for the club, way better for the finances, way better for everyone, except for Spurs, I suppose. But because they sold it after the date, they got a penalty deduction. So there's got to be some give and take here. It can't just be, here's the red line in the stand if you've got... Because Newcastle could, as I say, go out and sell a best player or sell a homegrown player just to hit a line. And if we had a few more weeks... Adidas, everything else coming on board. So yeah, it's really irked us. As I was going to say was, Isak come out yesterday, gave a great statement. He's basically said to the Swedish media what he's been saying to Newcastle all along, which is that I'm enjoying my football here, very much in Newcastle. I've had the best season of my career. That should not be understated. I love everything about this club, the fans, the city. I actually have no thoughts of a move, anything like that. I enjoy myself fantastically well, and I am very happy, which is great to hear, Isak. And look, Bruno has said a million and 2 times that he has no plans to leave the football club as well. However, and that is the big however, I think that Newcastle are certainly what is being pushed is that Newcastle are going down the road of doing exactly what we've just spoken about. I think Newcastle will have a kitty for this summer window. We've been sensible with what players we've let go. I think we will probably see maybe 1 or 2 in terms of like fringe players leave to try and bring some money through. And it's clear that Newcastle don't want to let some of these big players go. However, if we did sell Bruno for 100 million, we bought Bruno, that's just the rough maths. We bought Bruno for 40-ish million. We're selling for 100, that's 60 million. Across 5 years, that's 300 million, If we sold Longstaff for, let's just say 30 million, we bought him for nothing, across 5 years. Selling Longstaff for 30 million give us 150 million pounds to spend. And this goes back to what Darren Neal said about player trading. And it's not, and it's all about basically continuously boosting up the books. Because if we sold Longstaff for 30, so we had 150 million, we bought in a player who was 50 million. He played for 3 years, but then we sold him again for 30 million. That's 30 million over 5 years. So that gives us another 150. And it's just, that's why he used the word trading as opposed to selling players, because selling implies we're going to let a player go and then buy nobody else. That won't be the case. I would like to... we've got to keep Isak, and I would like to keep Bruno for longer. I think it's too soon. I think in a season where we want to try and really fight back for that top 4, we don't win without Bruno. That's what they say. Let me know your thoughts on the whole situation in general in the comments, but I'm also interested to know your thoughts on letting players go this summer window. Isak cannot leave. Bruno, I think we've got to really try and hold on to. And that's the worry, is because in 2 weeks' time, with a week left of PSR to go, and we haven't been able to sell a Wilson or an Alma on, where did Newcastle turn, and do we have alternatives? I think our owners are clever enough, oh God, I hope are clever enough to know that we can't just rely on having to sell players in 2 weeks' time, and that we have things in the background spinning. What about the new hat deal that we've got in the club shop? Is that not enough to offset the PSR? Like, that we've got stuff spinning in the background that would put us in that position where we aren't covered. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching, guys. Let me know down below if you go to the kit launch tomorrow, because I imagine a lot of people will be there. Let me know if you think I'll ever paint this wall. Subscribe if you haven't already for updates on whether I ever finish off this living room. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Loads of videos at the moment, and it helps me. It helps the channel. It's free. Hit the subscribe button. It costs nothing, but it helps me. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you later.